succeeding.
I have a question which ties to his question as well as earlier Malini's question, and that is, you are an engineer by profession, right? Your background?
I used to be. Yeah.
So, and then you were in a high-tech company in the Bay Area?
Yes, I actually worked in the Bay Area for many years, for about 6 years.
Okay.
And yeah, sure.
So the question is now leading from there. So as an engineer working in high-tech company, it takes a lot of guts to leave that. I mean, what prompted you? Was it just your passion? And then, you know, I can assume that leaving a full-time job and then going into a new place and trying to get your spot in an area where there are so many other actors.
Sure.
So that transition, I know you did maybe a little bit more on that. How did it work, and what did you do initially to get to where you are at today?
You know, I think Titli touched upon it with her earlier question when we started off. It's hard to characterize it as, you know, difficult or easy. I think it's more about setting some goals and being clear about those goals, and then just moving a step at a time, moving forward constantly. But yes, I mean, you know, I still love technology, so I don't want to ever, you know, convey the feeling that, you know, I'm away from it. I still love technology. I use technology every day. I have my iPhone on me now, and in that sense, you know, I do follow technology still. And my original training was as an engineer, and this is another thing I wanted to just, you know, share with you know, your audience, is that I had the good fortune of going to some really good schools for my education. Not just my acting education, but I had the privilege of going to a really good school, BITS Pilani in India, for my bachelor's. And what, is it raining in here? That was interesting. And also, you know, for graduate school, it was really a privilege to be able to go to University of Maryland at College Park, where I did my master's in mechanical engineering. I originally started doing my PhD in aerospace engineering, and there's a reason I'm mentioning all this is, at the time, whatever our passion is I think what you should pursue with all your heart and all your might. And at the time that was. And since I already mentioned I was a child actor in Bollywood, I was constantly performing through college at BITS Pilani at the cultural festivals and improvisation and, you know, creative writing and sketches and all this. So I've always retained an artistic interest and like you know, performance interest. So really it's just coming back to, you know, the arts that I did. It's not something that was out of the blue that I just dropped technology and went into the arts. There is a background where I knew that I've been working on it, you know, through my career. So in that sense, it's not a very sudden thing.
Okay.
But it is difficult because, you know, technology is very rewarding. You know, as many of your viewers here in Silicon Valley, it's very cushy, it's very comfortable, it's a steady paycheck. It's a lot of excitement too, you know, whether you're in a startup or a mid-level company or an established, you know, blue chip. It's a very comfortable kind of lifestyle. So it is a little bit of getting outside your comfort zone to really pursue your passion. And I really encourage anybody who has any interest in the creative, you know, world to really pursue it. Yeah, start in a small way. If you want to write, you know, if you want to sing. If you want to act, you know, if you want to direct or produce or, you know, do any technical work like, you know, cinematography or editing, whatever, I really encourage, you know, whoever is interested to really pursue that.
That's a great piece of advice.
On that note, I would want to know few directors you would really want to work with.
Oh gosh, you know, I already mentioned, you know, I'd love to work with Amir Khan ji. I think, you know, he is directing things now.
Yes.
So he's transitioning from, you know, actor to director.
Amir, if you're listening.
And I love the type of work that Farhan Akhtar is doing.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So I love that genre. And you know, I'm actually fluent in both Hindi and in Tamil. I grew up, you know, learning, reading, writing, and speaking that, and I still am very fluent in that, in both languages. And I think, you know, the Hindi film industry and Tamil film industry are really kind of like doing excellent new work like new
Cinema
wave.
has changed actually, yes.
Definitely,
absolutely,
definitely.
yes.
So in the Tamil film industry, I would say, director Shankar sir's production company is doing some good work. Mani Ratnam sir is just
Yeah.
absolutely prolific and really great with his
Yeah.
work. So those are, and also Prakash Raj is doing some really
Prakash
good
Raj, yes.
independent work, and I love his films. So these are some directors I'd love to work with.
Any actress you would want to work with?
Well, yeah, I think there's like so many young actresses now. It's hard to pick one or two. I really think Asin is doing such a great job. I think she's slowly transitioned
She's
from
good, yes.
regional to like mainstream Bollywood. And I think I really love her energy and,
I
and
liked
what
her in
she's
that
doing.
movie, Gajini, right?
Yes, yes.
Gajini.
Did you know that it was actually originally in Tamil?
Yes,
It was
yes.
remade into Hindi. It was the same director, Director
Same
Murugadas.
yes, yes.
And that's another director I'd love to work with. I've heard really great things about his creativity.
So about you, just one thing that you would want us to know. That we don't know, anything.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Whoa.
Nobody knows, yes. Did I put you in a wrong? Okay.
No.
Yeah.
So how much risk should I take here?
It's up to you.
Is
Go
the
all the
question.
Are you a good cook?
I am a decent cook. Don't tell my wife. I've managed to keep it a secret so that
So
because
you don't cook you just cook for yourself.
well, I do cook simple things.
Okay.
But really, she is the gourmet chef, so I let her do her thing, and I just feign ignorance as far as cooking
No, because
right
you said
now.
don't tell her. That means you don't. Because if you cook for her, she would know. So you cook
So
for
I usually
yourself.
cook when she's
Okay.
not there.
Honey, happy shopping, and then you cook. Okay, got it.
No, but she has a very sophisticated palate. We're both foodies, so we love to go try new restaurants, new chefs. We're always exploring and finding new places to eat and find good hangout spots. So
So any
Yeah.
other things? So that was I
Yeah, so
helped
you-
you with. Yeah, so that doesn't count.
wow.
Still waiting.
So yes, you're still waiting. Something that you would want us to know, right, guys?
Especially for us. Especially for this
Especially
audience.
Yes.
Well, I really love to travel, and one of the things that I don't think anybody would know is at one point I actually seriously considered becoming an international travel guide.
Wow.
So just traveling the world and just understanding different cultures and different cities and different places, foods, wines, all of that experience in terms of traveling, and then sharing it with people on a very individualized level. Because there's a lot of commercial stuff in terms of companies taking people on tours, but that's something that I really closely considered in terms of like being like a one-on-one, sort of like an elite concierge, if I may.
A handsome travel
take.
guide like him. I think we would all love to travel.
Not more than Devananji, I think he's the ultimate guide.
Oh yeah. It's such a sad thing that he just
Yeah, I know. I just love his work. My dad loved his work, and he's just a superstar.
Cool.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
This is related to non-profits, right? So
Sure.
in the last few days that I have spoken to you quite often, I see that you have such a passion for non-profits. So as a child, have you been doing associated with non-profits and all? How did you become so associated to do something and give back?
Yeah. I actually have. I don't know if I was associated with nonprofits in childhood. I don't think I was yet at a place where I understood what good that does. But really, I think the first instance I would think was high school. When I first, I think in our high school adopted a nearby village, and we went and provided education, but the wildlife fund, and we worked with them. And so that was really very satisfying work, working with those organizations.
So a lot of people want to volunteer, want to give their time to various charity organizations, but given their daily schedules of work, children, they hardly have the time to do
Yeah.
that. And we at Indus try to encourage people to involve their whole families to get involved, do something
Right.
to give back. So any advice you have for those people who are on that borderline, wanting to do but not able to do?
Really, this work in terms of charity and nonprofit, it doesn't have to be physical contribution in terms of like physically being somewhere to do something. Definitely the financial contributions help because it's the kind of enabler in terms of getting projects off the ground, making sure certain things are executed, all these things. But there's so many ways, whatever skills people have, whatever core competencies they have, whatever forte they have in terms of whether it's web design, they could help with creating, blogs and newsletters and maintaining the website, because, this is Silicon Valley, so there's a lot of people who are very, tech savvy. Or if it's marketing, they could help with, publicity and PR, creating marketing around, Indus's programs, nonprofit programs. Or if they're in any kind of corporate level in terms of, in corporate management, they could kind of partner with nonprofits like Indus to create, matching programs for contributions, to help educate their employees that such programs are available in the first place, so that employees know to contribute. And so really, whatever core competency people have, they can really bring it, to the table and contribute in their own way. I think all of those skills
it's a great piece of advice, and I hope all the listeners are listening. People, so if you are thinking about you're in that borderline wanting to do, definitely get engaged.
Yeah, it's very satisfying, to give back. So please give in any way you can.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
You're an artist.
Yes.
And you said growing up you did do a lot of a lot in the arts.
Yeah.
And as you know today, art education is getting cut from schools here in the U.S. because they
Right.
that's not essential.
That's like a luxury.
That's a luxury.
Sure.
You need to learn math, you need to learn English, but
Yeah.
arts, it's okay.
Right.
And Southeast Asia too, growing up in our generation, the whole, it was always like,
Afterthought.
study hard, and then, okay, if you
Yeah.
can afford it, then go for art class.
It was always
Sure.
an afterthought.
What do you
Sure.
think, is art really essential, or is it just,
Oh, absolutely. I really, I come from the belief that, you have to develop both your left brain and right brain abilities, because that's an integrated individual.
And you're definitely a perfect example of
Perfect
it.
example.
Thank you,
Exactly.
thank you. But really, it's a process of, first of all, knowing that, especially in a child's life, it's so critical for them to first know who they are, and they know who they are fully only if they explore all parts of themselves. And I think the arts are great in developing creativity, in thinking outside the box, in looking at creative ways to solve problems, because it comes from within. Art is not something that you copy or recycle from somewhere. Though that's also a different form of art. But really, the type of art I'm talking about is a true exercise of creativity in terms of from within and creating something that's original. And I think for kids, for children, in their developmental stages, both in early childhood as well as in their adolescence and teenage years, it's so critical for them to know their strengths and kind of find those core areas that they are strong in, and develop those. And then I understand the whole emphasis on the science and language and all this. These are important skills to have in life. But arts, I think, really develop creativity in a way that helps these kids, even if they don't pursue arts for a career,
Yes.
it helps them become more integrated, wholesome individuals, so they can solve life's problems in a more wiser way.
And I'll take the example of the Silicon Valley, that we are in the land of innovation. This is the
Right.
land of innovation. You have
Sure.
the iPhone and iPad.
Yeah.
How do we do that? I have worked at companies like Intuit and various other companies. Many of you work there.
Mm.
When we innovate, the process that we do is we go into a room and we are given color pens and various toys and various
And the
odd
whiteboard
objects
and-
a whiteboard. They don't give you any guidelines. So you
Right.
just think exactly the same thing that you said.
Right.
That is all used to come up. I'm sure
Sure.
iPad and iPod, etc. may have come from that same thing.
And in paying homage to Steve Jobs, one of the most prolific creators out there. That said, I think creativity is not in any one field. Creativity
Yes.
doesn't mean painting or acting or directing. Creativity means creating. And even if it's creating technology,
Mhm.
that's still creativity.
That's right.
And so that transcends all, kind of verticals, if I may, in terms of, lines of work or lines of businesses, but also across professions. A public servant could be creative in creating community programs. They don't need to necessarily be a painter in order to be creative. if they can solve the problem of urban planning or traffic or designing a better city, now that's creativity right there, for someone serving public office. And likewise, with technology, like you said, it's, especially because it's Silicon Valley here, I think we see that in a more pronounced way because all around us are the companies that create these products that are really popular world over. Sometimes, when I used to live here, I used to always wonder about that. It's like, wow, Yahoo's right here, and everybody I know has a Yahoo email address. Or like Google is right here, and everybody I know shares Google Docs to like work on collaborative projects. Or Intel's right here, and every computer everywhere always has a Intel or an AMD chip. And so, really, in a sense, creativity transcends all fields. It's just about digging in deep within and creating originally to bring forth into the world what wasn't. Sometimes it's very collaborative, sometimes it's individualistic. So it depends on what field you're in. And I think it's getting more and more collaborative, not just in the arts, but definitely in technology. I mean, inventions in technology products these days, I think, come from teams rather than individuals, because that's the kind of breadth of, both that's happened. That's very hard for any one person to like be the inventor. Really, it's a team of people, and that actually also goes towards emphasizing collaboration. So.